G'day humans, Chris Stead here. Today I'm reviewing the GoPro 13's updates to the GoPro 12. Is it worth the upgrade? Let's dive in. So last week I was at the Australian media launch for this, the GoPro Hero 13 Black. Now at this event, there was a big presentation, that we were involved in a Q&A with GoPro about the new product, and then we went and shot it and started fooling around with it and playing around with it, and I've had it now for over a week leading up to the launch, which is probably when you're watching this video. Now this is the GoPro Hero 12 and I used the heck out of this. In fact, I used most of the GoPros prior to this too, but with the GoPro Hero 12 in particular, if you stay close and stay tuned to my channel, over the coming months I'm going to be putting up a lot of content from a big backpacking trip I did around Southeast Asia for 9 weeks. And I just spent a month in the Maldives as well. And this was basically joined to my hand for almost the entire time. But I say almost, and that's because there are certain conditions where the GoPro Hero 12 just outright failed me. In fact, 4 in particular. Now the first one was low light. As soon as I got into any sort of low light, even medium light situations, the GoPro Hero 12 just became next to useless to me, and I just moved to my phone or some other device because the sensor's just too small and it just can't capture any low light, the quality that I was after. Second of all, anything up close, it was no good with. So as soon as I was trying to shoot something really close with the GoPro 12, it just comes out of focus and you kind of lose that quality, you don't get what you want. Third of all, the Quick app was what had one of its coolest and best features, is that it can, when you plug it in, is going to upload all the video content you took that day to the cloud, so it's instantly backed up and stored. This is if you've got a Quick subscription, and then it'll produce a highlight video for you. But what I found is as soon as you're off the beaten track where you need that feature the most, it actually doesn't work because the connection to the local servers just isn't good enough to deliver on that need. And finally, I found the Bluetooth mic support that was advertised in the GoPro Hero 12, being able to sync up an external Bluetooth device, didn't quite work across all of the devices that I needed it to, in particular the DJI Mic 2, which I really wanted to work with this. So that is where the GoPro 12 let me down, and that's what I was really hoping to see the GoPro 13 pick up the slack. So does it do that? Does it deliver? That's what we're going to tackle in this video. We're going to see if it does or doesn't do that, and what it actually does do to build on what the GoPro Hero 12 delivers. And ultimately here we're going to decide and try and work out whether or not, if you're an existing user, whether it's worth upgrading, or if you're a new user, whether it's worth coming in here, or if it's both. Is the same answer as both. All right, so let's dive into the differences between the GoPro Hero 13 and the GoPro Hero 12. So I had access to a detailed comparison of all the specifications between these two cameras, and I got to tell you, let's just say there was 100, I don't know how many it was, but let's just say there was 100 is a lot. I reckon 90 of them are identical. So there's not a whole lot of difference between the two cameras, definitely in terms of the shooting quality, what it's delivering, and all the kind of features and trimmings and modes. It's pretty much identical. So what you've got new in the GoPro Hero 13 Black is you've got the new burst slow-mo mode. So that's allowing you to do like right up to 400 frames a second at 720p or 120 at 5.3K in slow-mo, and that'll give you about, in 720p and which is 400 frames, 900p at 360 frames, you can get 15 seconds worth of slow-mo, like that's real-time filming. Once you actually look at that, it'll be over 3 minutes. And at 5.3K 120, you can get 5 seconds of slow-mo. Now, as well as HDR, you've now got in the 13 HLG HDR, and to my understanding, that's to do with the way things display on TV. So it's not necessarily that useful for most consumers. We've upgraded from Wi-Fi 5 to Wi-Fi 6, which is obviously great. Wi-Fi 7 is probably where it should have been. GPS tracking is back, which I know is going to make a lot of people happy. You can now customize the preset names, so very, very little UI tweak there, but you can now call your favorite custom video mode Bob if you want to. The new GoPro Hero 13 is 5 grams heavier, so it's marginally heavy. I think it's 159 grams. Now the battery capacity has risen from 1720 milliamp hours to 1900 milliamp hours, and that's added between 38% and 58% battery life gains, depending on the resolution and frames you're shooting at. I think it's an hour and a half at 4K or 2.5 hours at 1080p, so that's what you're going to be getting when you're filming, roughly. But as I'll go into, the counter to that is your existing Enduro batteries will not work. It's a new battery shape, form factor. Also new is a new magnetic latch mount. So you would have seen this in the DJI action cameras, but you can now just basically mount with a magnet and a couple of clips. It's a lot quicker to get off and on as opposed to the old screw system. It's got audio tuning as a feature, and then it's got the new the new lenses. So the HB series lenses. So this is the ultra wide lens mod, the macro lens mod. There's an anamorphic lens mod as well, but that's not coming till 2025. And you've got a whole bunch of ND filters, new ND filters, right? And so these now work, they're different to the old lenses in that when you clip them on, the GoPro is going to recognize them, they're going to have a conversation, a handshake together, and then the settings are going to optimize and automatically optimize based on the lens that you've attached. And the ultra wide lens also provides a new aspect ratio, which is 1:1, which allows you to cut up in all kinds of interesting, cool ways with ease. Now, obviously the loss to that is that the old lens mods that you might have and the old ND filters you might have will not work with the GoPro Hero 13. Other losses, there are a few things that are missing. So like I said, there's the existing lens mods won't work. Obviously, like I said, the existing batteries won't work. And for whatever reason, the 4:3 aspect ratio for time warp has been removed in the GoPro Hero 13. It was in the GoPro Hero 12. So let's analyze all those specs and what it actually means. And obviously you've probably taken away from that in terms of the actual filming experience, more or less, there's no real difference between the two cameras. They are effectively providing the same experience, right down to the same megapixel still shots. Obviously this has got the burst slow-mo now, but for more or less, you know, for the vast majority of shooting experiences you're going to be going through, there's no real upgrade from this to this. And that's kind of a bit of an issue, right? So the way that I see it, it's obviously a transition year for GoPro. They've wanted to bring some things in. They've wanted to bring in these new lenses. So there's the ND filters there, you can see. You've got the macro lens here, and you've got the wide angle lens here. And like I said, the anamorphic one's coming in 2025, and there might be more. So these new lenses have come in, but what it basically does is make your previous lenses obsolete. The new batteries come in, to get longer battery life. Longer battery life is always great, but it makes those Enduro batteries that you've already got access to or have already purchased obsolete. We've got the new magnetic mount, which you can see here, which just goes on like, you know, it's pretty rad. It's nice and easy, it's really well made, and it's really cool, and it's gonna make, you know, if you're in a situation where you're constantly moving the GoPro from mount to mount to mount to mount to mount, that's gonna be a real big blessing. But you can also just use it the existing way. Like it's moving to a new ecosystem. But in doing that, it's going to make some fans kind of upset, right? Because they've already got an ecosystem over here. And if you're upgrading from this ecosystem here to this ecosystem here and getting a huge bump in performance, then yay. And it's cool, look, obviously it's cool that the macro lens is here and that you can now shoot in macro. And it's cool that the ultra wide gives you this 1:1 aspect ratio. And I love the fact that it recognizes that the lens is attached and it auto adjusts and makes things very easier. The ND filters in particular, very, very cool. But the reality is that none of that is in camera. So these things over here, they're extra, significantly extra. And I think from memory, the macro lens might be $129.99 US, I think. I can't remember if it was Australian or US. And these $99 US, I'm pretty sure it's US. I'm pretty sure all the prices they showed us were in US. So that's obviously an issue. So you're upgrading from here to here, and this is providing a new ecosystem. So all the things that you had for this one aren't going to work. No, that's not true. Like the medium mod's still going to work, the light mod's still going to work. The mounts are all going to still work. but your lenses aren't going to work, your battery's not going to come across, and the battery's obviously a big one, it's an expense that you would have done, they're not going to come across and work, but then the things that are going to work with this one aren't actually in camera, they're extra. And so that basically means that if GoPro wanted to do this at some point, it was going to have to be a pain point year where the transition was going to be a little bit awkward for existing fans. So why not choose lucky number 13, right? Now, I don't want it to come across like the GoPro Hero 13 isn't great. It's just really good action camera. This was a great action camera. And since pretty much everything is the same here, this is still a great action camera. You know, when it comes to the contrast and the tone and the stabilization and the durability of the GoPro experience, it's all here in the 13. It's still a really good camera. And I actually think that the audio, the onboard audio, is actually quite a bit better in this device. I found that it really handles wind a lot better. So I think it's even kind of nicer looking as well, because the GoPro Hero 12, they went with this kind of blue speckled look, which they've removed for the GoPro Hero 13 and gone for this kind of cool little grille look instead, and a bit of a kind of longer looking screen. It's not actually bigger, but longer looking screen. So the GoPro Hero 13 is still awesome, but who's it for? Like, because if you're already in this ecosystem, there's very little reason, I think, to upgrade to the GoPro Hero 13 unless there's a specific lens that you're really like, yeah, I really want that macro lens, or I really want to make use of that 1:1 aspect ratio. It's kind of almost catering to more of the niche needs than the grander kind of needs of the average Joe. So unless you're on a GoPro Hero 8 or something like that from way back in the day, there's probably little reason to upgrade to the GoPro Hero 13. However, if you're a new user and you're not in the GoPro ecosystem yet, then you're absolutely going for the GoPro Hero 13 because, well, assuming you can't find one of these secondhand at some crazy good price, but otherwise, come in on this level because here you're going to be future-proofing yourself to a certain extent, right? You're going to be able to make use of the battery in this and the lenses that you might get with this to the 14 and 15, whatever comes into the future. The Max 2, probably not the Max 2 actually. It'll probably have its own different types of accessories once more. As for my personal hopes, yeah, look, obviously I was really hoping for better low light. That was a big thing for me, and the sensor's the same size, so nothing's really changed in that regard. When it comes to the quick app support, and getting that kind of cloud upload to happen better. Look, obviously the Wi-Fi 6 is going to help a little bit, but talking to the team about that, it's about, you know, bit rates and all this kind of stuff in developing countries and off the beaten track and that stuff. They're working on it, but it's just going to be iterative over time. It's not going to be a leap from generation to generation. So I don't know when that problem's going to get fixed for me. Like the whole of the Maldives, I couldn't get it to upload once. Large sections of the Southeast Asia, I couldn't get it to upload once. I can't get it to upload in my home right now. I don't know why. So it's not a seamless experience, right? So there's still problems there. The macro issue that I've got, look, there's a lens for it now. So as long as I'm willing to carry this with me, then I can solve that need, but it's not in camera. So it's not in the price. So it's not really, it's a solution, but it's not a fix, if that makes sense. At least with the Bluetooth mic support, I have got the DJI Mic 2 to sync with this and work, so that's great. And it actually worked really quite seamlessly. So the improvements that they have made on the Bluetooth side of things are working, so that's exciting. So that's a positive in a step in the right direction. But talking about steps, the GoPro Hero 13 ultimately isn't a step forward as much as it is a step sideways. It's from one ecosystem to a new ecosystem, and it's not going to be for everybody to make that leap, I don't think. That's what you need to know. So anyway, that's my thoughts on my GoPro Hero 13 review on the update from the GoPro Hero 12, whether or not you need to do that upgrade or whether you should come in here. I think I've explained everything I need to explain there. Thank you very much for watching. Make sure you check out my other videos. I'll be putting up a lot of content around this, the GoPro Hero 13, but also the GoPro Hero Mini, which is also coming out. And I'll also put up some stuff from the press briefing as well for you to check out. All right, I'm Chris Stead. Thank you very much for watching. Until next time, I'll check you later. You.